And look at Randy Orton slithering.
Oh, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
KO! Here's the cover.
Hey, what's up everyone, and we're finally back with the video. It's been a couple weeks, but what better way to, I guess, bring some content back to the channel than with a game in one of my favorite tanks in the game with the Turtle. An absolute blast of a tier 8 light tank. Unfortunately, this matchup is not a blast. As you can see, we're very bottom tier. Lots of tier 10s on a map that is very corridory. And not really a great light tank map. But Fjords isn't a map that I really go personally that I'm like, it's terrible. It's just kind of an indifferent map. I've definitely had my fair share of interesting games on it, usually late games, such as this one. This is going to be a very interesting late game kind of matchup, and it's very similar, I think, to a map like, so we try to pen the Sheridan. Fortunately, doesn't come off. But a map like Cliff, it's not the worst map. It's not my favorite map by far, but it does have some interesting late game kind of matchups that can happen, even in your scouts and medium tanks, stuff like that. But definitely not one of my favorites. As we start the game off, very typical thing on this map to do, as we pray to the RNG gods there. And that T-54 is not packing a fire extinguisher, and he is going to burn and burn and burn some more. So very nice start to this game with a nice little bit of RNG there, totally skill. But I started the game off in that bush to the right of that rock right over there that you see on my screen. Generally you can spot some people coming up that way. I only do it generally if I don't recognize anybody on the other team, because if I do spot somebody that I recognize, such as somebody from my clan or something like that, or even a competitive rival clan that I can recognize off the top of my head, and they're getting lit up from that other spawn, it's a pretty good bet that there's a light tank in that bush. I know I've done it in blind fire light tanks that I've sat in this bush, and really when I do it, I pay attention to people's gun barrels, minor detail, and see where they're aiming. And if I see them start pointing their guns about where I'm at, I just bail. But do bear that in mind. It is a good spot for a map that isn't very good for scouts, but be mindful that it's a very obvious position, and players with that knowledge will blind fire you, like myself. I will do it if I get lit up crossing from the other spawn. So not much has happened since that kind of initial engagement. We've only had, I think, one other shot, and that was into the T-54. And we've kind of backed off from that spot because their team is just pushed up and into there, and as a light tank, that's not really what I want to be on the front lines brawling against like 5-6 enemy tier 10 TDs that are pushing that way. Not really in my best interest there. So kind of hanging back here. Not totally falling back to the top. We do hit the Sheridan again. Don't pen him because of the spaced armor on the Sheridan. So it's unfortunate, but not to be unexpected, I guess. And you can see we're not really falling back all the way. We kind of fall back in increments here. Basically a fighting retreat. Use layman's terms, I guess. That's probably the best way to put it. Is that we're just slowly doing a little bit of damage and then falling back a little bit more. And we can kind of do that in this scenario because most of their tanks are kind of slow. They are 2 tiers higher, but they're very slow heavy tanks like 75A, AMX M4, or they're like TDs that are 2 Jaegers. So very slow tanks for the most part, minus some other like the Sheridan and T10 on their team. But for the most part, slow tanks that I can kind of take advantage of by getting on spot, using some bushes, and just putting maybe 100, 200 damage into them, depending on where I kind of aim the shot. It is true you can get damage with derp guns anywhere where you shoot a tank, generally speaking, unless the armor's super thick. Like shooting the upper plate of the Jaeger, you may not do damage there. As we get our second fire of the game there, unfortunately the AMX M4 has a little bit slightly faster on the fire extinguisher, but fortunately for us he wasn't running a automatic fire extinguisher, so get a little bit extra ticks there. We can actually pen this guy. And I think we do there, actually. Because we wouldn't have rolled for 362 with Splash. It's very, very doubtful on a Tier 10 Heavy. So we likely penned the rear of the AMX right there. So that's the thing with Derp guns. Like there, we hit probably the upper plate of that 75A. So we only did 94 damage. But you'll see later, we'll hit him at other spots where we'll do like 200-ish to a Tier 10 Heavy, which isn't bad considering the 122 millimeter HE on this tank, I believe. Again, 94. Lucky, I guess, in one way, unlucky in others. And right now, rather than waste my time with that tank and doing nothing, I'd rather kind of help these guys push this, kind of swing the momentum. Fortunately, the HE shot that was meant for the 4005 only hits our track, so it doesn't pen us. It's very, very lucky. It's a very aggressive play right here. I'm going right in front of a Jaeger. I know there's a Jaeger. I'm just betting on him turning and not really being able to turn fast enough to shoot me. Is it a risk? Yes. Is it a calculated risk? Most definitely. But is it the right play? Yes. I think. Because otherwise, you're going to have people just sitting up there doing nothing, just staring at the Yag, nobody wanting to get hit for 1,000 damage. And we just kind of take that initiative to be a little ballsy, for the lack of a better term, I guess. Or aggressive. Hey, there's a better term. Who cares? And just push down and make sure that guy is getting shot from multiple angles, or at least has to think about multiple angles rather than just sitting in front of 4 tanks and kind of being immune to a certain point. So we're still down 1 tank. Granted, that 1 tank on their team is an arty, so whatever. Especially on this side of the map where we're at, we're fairly safe up here to an extent, especially with the French arty. They have kind of low gun arcs, but based off where he's positioning, could possibly have a shot on us. Depends. It's late game, so maybe moved. I don't know. Arty is very unpredictable, to say the least. But we've kind of made this little climb up here. I don't really register it as glitching. I don't know. It's just kind of something you can do if you have the speed to get up into the spot. I quite like it. I like stuff that it's not, they can easily shoot you up here. It's not like I can just post up on the 75A. But it definitely adds a dimension to this map a little bit, especially on this side. Otherwise, it's just face-to-face brawling, I guess. As you put one into the 75A, he's kind of isolated right now. I can see their other tanks on the other side. So while he is isolated, we're going to try to take advantage of that. And even my first shot placement there, you may have seen me aiming, not just RBRTing. I was actually aiming for the drive wheel. There I'm RBRTing, obviously, because mid-range. I'm just trying to get whatever I can. But I actually did try to track that guy in place by aiming the HE shot right at the drive wheel of the 75A. And I thought the 4005 was actually going to shut him down. But maybe he just didn't have the angle or something along those lines. I don't know. Or it already shot. Possibly. But he does shut down the Sheridan, which is a very, very nice kill for us. And then our 13105 apparently just doesn't want to play anymore. Physics is difficult. I've been there and done that, so that happens. Been my fair share of deaths to physics engine in this game. Happens to everyone. Especially if you play light tanks or fast tanks enough, it will happen. And it will happen not often, but depending. And for this game, really, we've just been kind of chilling up here in this corner, and they just keep pushing one at a time so far, and not from both angles, which has been beneficial to us, but detrimental to them, obviously, because they keep just kind of throwing tanks away, even though they had the numerical advantage. Ari Mill, too, that was with us, did the same kind of thing. He pushed down by himself and got sworn by 3 of their tanks. Strength in numbers in endgame is kind of beneficial. And again, we're going to do the same initial spot up here just because I can do more damage, actually, also. If I shot the 75A just frontally with him like that, chances of me doing much damage are very limited, as he does 7 damage and talks about it. But we had a slight shot on him at that point, so that's whatever. But mindset here is that I can hopefully hit the engine deck of the 75A and do substantially, hopefully, more damage than 7. But it's a derp gun, so you never really know what you're going to get, to say the least. And this is actually good right now because we have me kind of watching this way, kind of pseudo scouting, and there we do pick up the spot on the Jaeger. He already has repositioned, so I know where he's at. He actually has shots up here now, and the 4005 was looking the other way, but he is looking this way now. He was full health, so it's okay. He has the health to bleed, and it's just a very awkward kind of fight. And we do put one into the 75A, track him in place, and we're just kind of chilling up here. They don't really have shots on me. They're swarming the 4005. I see the 75A, turn away for a second. I'm reloaded, going to go in on him, aim the shot, and take him out. And now we got to try to help the 4005 the best way we can. Now the Jaeger is the obvious first target, but are we going to do that much damage? And before we even have to think about that choice, our 4005 shuts him down. And very quickly, we went from being outnumbered to outnumbering them as we slam one into the 416's rear for a nice full penetration. It's really the first full pen we had all game, minus some fires and stuff. And as an excellent little bonus, we take the head off the 416 in kind of brutal fashion there, which may be a little unnecessary. Not really. And now all that's left is the artillery. And in classic fashion, and to nobody's surprise, what's the arty going to do when he's the last one alive on a map with water? Drum roll, please. He kills himself. Surprise. And we finished that game off with a win. Very interesting and pretty fun game to play. And not a lot of pens really in the turtle, which is kind of strange. It's just a lot of shots. Just 20 out of 21 hit, which is very, very nice. And maybe that one that missed, I don't remember if I actually missed tank. I may have just splashed somebody right near them and still done damage. Can't remember. But a very good result, obviously, in that kind of matchup. Not a great map. Terrible matchmaking against tier 10s. And we're able to pull out 2300 base, 5k damage, and pick up a few kills with the Oskins medal, I think. I don't know. I've been away for a couple weeks. But we're back now. Orlex medal. There we go. No, sorry with the no. And hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I will be hopefully back with more content on a recent basis. And catch you later. See ya. Peace.